afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Part Lane Podcast, episode number 55. My name is Luke, and joined as always are my regular co-hosts. Wynnie, how you doing, mate?
I'm quite happy, mate. To be honest, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain.
Exactly, mate. Exactly, and also Harry Scarf. How you doing, buddy? You good?
I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, I'm still, buzzing because I think it was a great performance and a really impressive result. I think, anyone with common sense would have taken at the start of the day. And we move on. So, played some great stuff. Looking forward to getting into it, and great to be here again. Yeah, can't wait.
Definitely, lads. And I think the echoes of last week was give us a point and we'll rip your hand off. So. In my mind, it gets to that, and you get a point, and you think, "Oh, we could have done them, couldn't we? We could have done them at the Emirates." For those of you that live in some kind of cave or a hole in the middle of nowhere, then you missed the game today. It was Spurs versus Arsenal at the Emirates, ended in a 2-2 draw involving own goals, penalties, and all the rest of it. You name it. So we're going to get into every talking point about that game. But a quick shout out to everybody in the chat. So if you are new, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the like button as well. And if you're listening on any podcast platform, leave us a 5-star review. Those listening on Spotify need to catch up because Apple Music people are steaming way further ahead. But let's jump into it. We've got Thomas in the chat. Good evening, all. Jay said, evening, lads. The ref was trash. Glad we got a draw in the end. Played really well. Big up to your panel. Barney has said, evening, lads. Great game for the neutral to watch. Really enjoyed that. And a great point for Spurs. Who else we got in here?
Is there no Johnny yet?
No Johnny yet, funnily enough.
Johnny, where are you, mate?
He always does that.
Dave's daughter's in the house saying Spurs played well today. Hope you're well.
He's not baffled it, has he?
Yeah. What else have we got? Are you watching Harry Kane? To the haters that said we would be thrashed and be appalling in the lead, not to get too cocky. Just loads of chat going on. So keep the chat going on. Thomas has said, "Evening, Johnny," with the emoji. So we'll see. We'll see if Johnny turns up. But good to have you all there. Oh, one more just jumped in. Robbie Collins has said, "Hello, lads. Great game. Thanks to everybody that's tuned in. Make sure you're getting it all in." Right, lads. Let's quickly go over a brief overview of the game, get your thoughts, and then we'll go through all the talking points. So I'll come to you first, Wynnie. What are your kind of thoughts now, a few hours have gone since the final whistle?
Mate, like I said, and whether you should celebrate a draw or not, I'm buzzing, because the previous years of going to the Emirates, I've absolutely dreaded it. But I'll be honest, in the build up to today, I was a little bit nervous, but nowhere near dreading as much as I have been, because I knew and I was confident that we could go there and give them a game. I haven't been able to say that for so many years, and it's so frustrating. But look, it was what I expected. We didn't change our game plan. Everything we have done and everything we've built up to this season, we did the exact same, today. And what I absolutely loved was in the build up when they said to Ange, obviously you're going away to the Emirates. Are you going to change your philosophy? And he was like, mate, I'm not changing a thing. We're going to go there. Do you know what I love? Is why he said we're going to go there and we're going to petrify them. We're going to scare them to death. And I absolutely love that quote, because I don't think I've ever heard a manager be so confident in what him and his team can deliver. But yeah, so a couple of scares, but it is what it is. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into the talking points about it. Because there was a couple of controversial decisions, but on a whole, mate, I'm buzzing with it. And as we said before, I mean, I wasn't on the pod last week, but as I heard, I'm sure everyone was the same. Give me a draw and I'll snap your hand off. I was like that from the start, and I was like that when we went 2-2, even though it was 2. I can't remember what time we equalised at 2-2. I would have took a draw then.
Yeah. No, 100%. And as you say, to have a manager that's that refreshing, that can go into a game and say, do you know what? We're going to play our ball, and whether you like it or not, this is the way that we're going to play. And, the kind of, okay, we didn't get a win, right? And people will, Arsenal fans will turn around and say to us, well, why are you celebrating getting a draw at the Emirates, right? But the point is that we're 4 or 5 weeks into this journey. You guys are 4 years into that journey.
Yeah, exactly.
And looking at those benches today, our team looked miles stronger. For an Arsenal side that needed a win at home to bring on Emile Smith-Rowe and Reece Nelson, who are bit part youth players that came through and are doing all right. I'm not saying they're terrible players, right? A few years ago, Emile Smith-Rowe was quality for Arsenal, but they're two players that you wouldn't expect a team that spent 400 million over the last two transfer windows would have to bring on. And don't even get me started on Havertz or Jorginho, because those boys are flash. But Harry, give me your thoughts on the Arsenal game today.
Yeah, I echo what Wynnie says in terms of I'm still buzzing. Lots of Arsenal fans have taken to X or Twitter this afternoon, whatever you want to call it, and have kind of gone, why are we celebrating a draw? Well, listen, like you say, they're 4 years into their project. They spent millions, several transfer windows with Arteta being backed. We're 4 months into it, and Ange's only had one window, to get what he wants, to deliver his message. It really isn't long. So that is why, for me, that is such an important point. Our record there as well. And just, we went toe-to-toe with Arsenal, right until the final whistle, which is, I put out something before the game saying I'd be happy regardless of result. If we go toe-to-toe with Arsenal, we give everything we've got, and regardless of result, we've done that and got the result. We all surely would have taken before the game. I sat here and said last week it'd be unfair for me to sit here and go, I'm disappointed. Could we have won the game on another day? Yeah, I feel like we had 10 shoes on our side, but that's football. We can't use that as an excuse. You've got to move on. But we could have won the game. We had, for me, anyway, the better chances. I think it's a very, very even game of two halves. If either team had a loss, it would have been, really, really harsh, because either team didn't deserve to come away with nothing. So it would have been harsh, but I think we created the bigger chances, and ultimately we had a decision, whatever you think of it, go against us. I don't know how it went against us. And an own goal from Romero, where Romero, a bit more composure, a bit more calmness that we've seen for the majority of this season, bar today. That really doesn't happen. It's going wide, or it's a simple save just to be sure by Vicario. So lots and lots of positives to take out of it. We got the result we wanted. We move on. Yeah, next season, then perhaps we should be talking about going here and putting a statement win out. But as far as we're concerned, we're still unbeaten. We look good. Same points as Arsenal, and Arsenal seen as title contenders. What do I need to say?
Exactly, mate. And that's coming from a lad that he's not
likes to know a lot
on Ange Postecoglou. So director Harry. No, I'm only joking. Yeah, do you know what? It's exciting. It's exciting. Do you know what? Next season, hopefully, we go into this game and we say, do you know what? We can 100% win this game, because even under how much I believe in Ange ball, and I did put out a win in the score predictions throughout the entire game. It just must be a Spurs mentality, a Spurs fan mentality. Every time Arsenal attacked, I thought we could concede it.
Yeah.
Every time we attacked, I didn't think, we're going to score it. We're going to score. Do you know what I mean? And that's just what it's like in derbies. It's tricky, and you've got to play the game that's in front of you, right? But there's lots of positive comments coming our way. Right, quick one. Actually, I forgot to mention this. I got a DM this week from Greg. They want happy birthday message. So happy birthday to you. Thank you very much for tuning in, the support, all the rest of it. So thank you very much.
Happy birthday.
Right, let's jump into the lineup. So we went for a pretty standard lineup, Wynnie. The only difference was that Manor Solomon was replaced by Brennan Johnson, which I actually, before the game started, thought it was a great shout to bring Brennan Johnson in for his pace and his kind of wing ability. I feel like he lacked a little bit. I don't know what he lacked, but kind of maybe end product a little bit composure on the ball. Maybe the occasion was a bit too much for him. But what do you make of that as a whole from Ange to be able to make that change from the start for a derby?
Yeah, I mean, it was a. If I'm honest, I didn't expect it. I expected it to be Solomon, to be fair. But look, it takes balls to make a big decision like that, and fair play to Johnson for stepping in such a big game in his first start for the club. So look, I think he was okay. I think he's shown in sparks of what he can do, and sparks of what we've brought him in for. But I think there was a couple of occasions during the game where even the commentators pointed out that down that left-hand side, Udogie was very, very exposed because Johnson wasn't getting back, and that was apparently one of his criticisms at Forest, was he didn't get back enough to help out the fullback. But then they kind of contradicted themselves, and I kind of get it. They said Ange doesn't like his wingers to come back and help. So, which way do you want it? So he did okay. Obviously, unfortunately, pulled up with what looked like a hamstring injury. So hopefully that's not serious. But no, he's a player I really, really like, and someone who I think could do big things for Spurs. But if we look at it on the flip side, we've also got Solomon to come off the bench. Who I think, in my opinion, is a very similar player in terms of 1v1. So we've got good options, but I think it was a ballsy choice. But I don't think Johnson had a bad game. I think he probably could have done a bit more, but he didn't have a bad game or anything like that.
Yeah, 100%. I think you're right. And do you know what?
Yeah.
It was a good choice, to be honest, because Solomon looked hungry when he came on.
Yeah,
he looked like he had a bit between his teeth, and he came on with a real energy and zip, which. He's not. I don't think he's the fastest player we've got in our squad. To the likes of Brennan Johnson. So I can understand why they went for it today. But when he came on again, he looked hungry and looked like he really wanted some of this action. But Harry, once again, Spurs started slow again and again and again. I'm sick of saying it, but every week we start slow. Udogie, or Udogie, I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce it.
Still don't know.
Udogie, but whatever. He had a bit of a hard time against Saka. Fair play to Saka. He's growing and growing as an England player over the years, and he kind of ran Udogie, ragged for the first kind of 20 minutes. But there was a wayward back pass from him, which Nketiah nearly got, through on goal. With James Maddison being robbed at the edge of the box by Gabriel Jesus. There were a few chances that we just gave away through that ridiculous. Don't get me started on why we play, Van de Ven to Vicario, Vicario to Romero across to Van de Ven. Then maybe it goes into Porro. Then it comes back. Do you know what I mean? Do something with the ball, man. It drives me nuts.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from. In terms of Udogie as an individual, I think he's had an excellent start to the season. I think he's adapted to his role really, really well. People forget, I think, how young he is. He was phenomenal, for Udinese last season, especially going forward, but also defensively. When he was asked to step up in big occasions, he'd done that. So I thought he would flourish this season. Not quite as, didn't think he would be. I thought would be a first-team player. Eventually, I didn't think so quickly he'd come in, settle in, and really be one of the standout performers so far this season. So credit to him for that. He had a wobbly. I don't want to say wobbly game because I don't think he did. I think he had a wobbly start, a wobbly first half. Is fair to say. But credit to Ange, who has faith in him, a faith in Destiny Udogie to sit, to stay with him and not bring Ben Davies on. Me personally, I'll scream for Davies to come on. Reliable head, hasn't got yellow cards, knows how to deal with the situation. But that's me. I would have set up the team very, very defensive and gone for the points. So I suppose is what I've been used to the last few years since Pochettino's gone. So I'm not used to playing out from the back. I'm screaming, get rid of it when Udogie and Vicario are taking 3 or 4 touches on the ball. But Udogie, to be fair to him, in the end, dealt with Saka. I thought Saka was once again excellent today. I think he's, like you say, Luke, he's grown as a player. Now top England international, not someone who's just dipped in and out of the team. He's got consistent place there, consistent place in the Arsenal team, and he's performing week in, week out and carrying Arsenal when other players don't step up. But I see what you mean in terms of playing out from the back. I don't have a problem when we do that. It's when we take one too many touches or the if you're going to do that, the passing's got to be great. And it's just when you take one too many touches on the ball. For me, it's got to be 1-2 touch, keep it simple on the floor. And our passing, I'm going to say, I think it was atrocious to start with. I love the bravery. I think we were great in the end, but it was some of our passing was atrocious to start with. Vicario was panicking, the ball was going out of play a lot, and we really put ourselves under pressure. It's okay doing that anywhere else, but games like this against Arsenal, where we go to the Etihad, where we go to Anfield, you can't do that because the momentum from the fans makes a big difference. We saw it at St James's Park, completely different scenario, I know, when the fans got behind Newcastle, and we just look. we got scared and we were funny 5-0 down at half time and the game's gone. So it's slightly concerning, Luke, the way we're starting. But at the end of the day, we got to point out the game, and hopefully we got a bit more squad depth. The bench can help us, fresh legs, alternate the team. This shouldn't happen too much. But yeah, in terms of Udogie, I thought he recovered really, really well, and credit to Ange for sticking with him.
Yeah, I think you need to realise as well, like when a team has got a high, it's not not exactly a press, right? Because they weren't pressing until the ball was played through the inverted wingers, fullbacks, or the midfielders. But when you know that's going to happen time and time and time again, there has to be a shout from Ange where he says, right, I don't know, right? But there has to be a way. I've always thought about this, right? And forgive me for anybody who doesn't care. But I've always thought about this, right? Anybody watch NFL?
Yeah.
Like NFL, they have like loads of different plays and different. Yeah. So you decide you're going to do this play or that play. If after 5 minutes it's not working, why do managers not implement this, right? Where an instruction is shouted and they all move slightly, to be able to start playing in a different formation or different setting, to be able to say, okay, what they're doing is they're trying to counter press us here. What we'll do is we'll switch to this. Therefore, what they've learned in training, they won't know exactly how to do. And for 5-10 minutes, you'll have an advantage over them. I don't know. Just a thought. But Wynnie, we'll come to you for the first goal. And, I want to say classic Bukayo Saka, right? He cuts in on his left foot, tries to curl it in the far corner, probably going wide. And then Christian Romero, as Harry said earlier, needs to be a little bit more composed.
Yeah.
And sticks the ball in the back of the net. Yeah. It's not ideal when we keep scoring own goals, is it?
I think he's our top scorer, isn't he? Own goal. Mate, honestly, it's look, this is what I was on about earlier. I think this was the first real occasion where we saw a little bit of miscommunication between Johnson and Udogie. I think Udogie was kind of exposed. He had to then press over towards Saka when Johnson really should have tracked back with Saka. Eventually Johnson came back and there was a bit of miscommunication on who should then follow the runner, and that then allowed Saka to cut in onto his left foot and produce the shot. So that could have been defended a lot better. And yeah, I mean, look, the thing is, if Romero hadn't have thrown his body or his leg or whatever body part in front of it, and it had flew into the top corner, we'd have been sitting here going, Romero, he was right there. He could have put something in front of it. So I think it's a bit of a, do you know what I mean? It's a bit of a lose-lose situation for him. He definitely could have done better. But look, like I said, we could have been in a completely different scenario. He could have not thrown in front. He could have gone to the top corner and we could have a different conversation. But credit to Saka, put on his left foot. It was a good strike. And I mean, it was obviously going wide, hence why they've given the goal to as an own goal. So it wasn't going to go in, but it is what it is. But we came back from there and we did well. So
yeah.
Sorry, before we move on to the next goals, shout out to Johnny in the chat because he has joined us today, saying good evening.
Yeah,
nice you should join us, Johnny.
Mood. Johnny has said. You were slightly lucky we were handicapped on the left. No Trossard and Martinelli and Rice injured at half time. Basuma left to boss it alone. Still, we should have done better.
You're the one who's lucky. He scored a penalty and an own goal. Come on. You know
it. Interesting. Moving on to that, because, it seems the way with Spurs at the moment. We go 1-0 down and we decide, you know what? We'll kick into gear. And we had a few good chances. I think Son had a good chance, saved by Raya. He had a good game, to be fair, today. Brennan Johnson had an opportunity, saved by Raya. And then James Maddison got on the left, got to the byline and cut it back, and Son does the rest and scores. At that point, Wynnie, you're thinking, we can win this. And it's only the first half.
Look, like I say, there was no point during that game where I didn't think we could go and win it, because the Tottenham of new is just full of confidence and full of just everything. All they want to do is they want to get the ball forward every single opportunity and get a chance on goal. And like you said, we had a couple of opportunities prior to that. I thought Johnson, I don't want to say he should have scored, because I think he put it in probably, he could have put it a bit more in the corner, but it was a great save from Raya, let's be honest. And and there was another chance just before it. But I just want to talk about Madders down that left hand side in the build up to the goal. This guy is incredible. Like, obviously, it looks as though he could have a bit of an injury. Fingers crossed it's not, because it could derail the season a little bit. But I mean, he played on for a little bit, so hopefully it's not as serious. But the work down that left hand side was incredible. The little shift and turn to get inside Saka. He could easily have gone down if he wanted to, but he didn't, because he knew that he could have something to do on the end of it in the box. And what a finish from Son. He had 3 people around him and managed to squeeze it in. And this is what I'm saying. We've had this conversation on the pod before. Do we stick Son back out on the left and have Richarlison in the middle? Richarlison doesn't score that. It's as simple as that. Sonny down the middle is an absolute beast, and we need to keep him there. And this is the problem. I feel a little bit for Richarlison, and I know H. I know you love him, and I know you're such an advocate for him. However, when we have a player in Son who finishes that clinically, we have to keep him there. It's as simple as that. But great work from Madders to find the space. And like I say, Sonny had 3 people around him and still managed to squeeze it into the far post.
Definitely. And after that, Harry, we saw just before half time, we saw, a real camaraderie with I hate using this like leadership group, right? Because I feel like an absolute idiot. Like, that's what everyone says. It's a bit like when people call it low block and double pivot and shit like that. Anyway, it does really show, though, because I saw at times, when it got a little bit heated in that first half, both Romero and Maddison were pulling players away from the referee. They were, very much like, keep your heads, keep this, like, we've got this game, like, just keep playing, don't do anything silly. And it just shows, doesn't it? Especially from Christian Romero. Look, he got a yellow card, he gave away a penalty, and he scored an own goal. But apart from that, he had a pretty good game.
Oh dear! Apart from influencing the score and make sure we don't get 3 points, he had a good game. But no, it was okay, I suppose. I want to focus on Van de Ven, because I think he was so much better than Romero today, and I think he has been for the majority of the season. I think Romero's done well. He's calmed down, but he basically, everything we've been saying on the pod about him calming down, he threw out the window. I think today, I think from minute 1, he looked rash, out of control. I think that led to the own goal. Even with the handball decision that's caused some debate, he's got his arm up there. I don't know, but no. In terms of the leadership group, it's good to see. I know you disagree. It's good to see with the leadership group. Like you say, pulling the players away. But it's a shame they didn't pull Basuma away, because that was a petty yellow card that we'd be talking about in 5-6 matches time when he gets a 5-game ban. Oh, that was silly, wasn't it? Because there was no need for it. He's not going to change the referee's mind. He's ended up, him getting booked. Having said that, how Ben White wasn't booked in that instance and how he didn't get a free kick before that, I think he has every right to be annoyed. It depends on where you look at it. Yeah, I thought the players handled themselves really, really well today. Some really good individual performances. I think Romero watched the highlights back and go, do you know what? I could have done better. As part of the leadership group, I've probably let myself more than anyone down today. But it's justified because of a key player. I think he is for us, but I think he can watch a few clips of Van de Ven today, look at some of his positioning and his decisions. I personally don't think he was great, being honest with you. But in terms of the leadership group, it's good to see them pulling players away. What should be done? You don't need to surround the referee, because at the end of the day, you're not going to change the referee's mind. So I don't get the point of it. So for North London derby, we handled ourselves well, but Romero, Basuma, and quite a few others could have easily avoided yellow cards with a little bit of common sense, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's pretty fair, I'd say, Harry. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. But talking about the penalty early on in the second half, which did see Arsenal make a few changes, Wynnie, which to me showed that they were a little bit rattled. I want to see whether Declan Rice really is injured.
Yeah.
Or whether he just didn't want it enough and didn't show enough in that derby. But, early doors, and then the ball falls to Havertz, and he smashes it against Romero's arm. I think there's a deflection off Maddison. There could be a foul on Maddison. prior to that as well in the box. Referee didn't give a penalty. VAR said, we can't decide after 10 minutes of looking at 15 different images whether it's a penalty. Go and have another look, at which point he's like, oh, okay, fair enough, I'll give a penalty then. It felt like and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, right? But it felt like they were trying to find an excuse for it to be a penalty.
Yeah.
You can... Look, it goes under like the bracket if you see them given, right? Romero got away with one against United, didn't get away with one today. But what were your thoughts on that?
Look, I like to think I'm as unbiased as I can be. And if it was the other way round, I would have screamed for a penalty. However, if it wasn't given, I would have understood. I would have understood why. It's not a penalty. We can't be doing this. This is the problem. Like you said, it was like they was looking for an excuse to give it. They probably looked at that many different angles. They looked at it for 10 minutes. To try and find another infringement. They could have looked at it for another 10 minutes and gone, oh well. He pulled him back a little bit there. We'll give that as a penalty instead. It just seemed a bit silly. But the handball, there's no way that Romero could do anything other than that. I understand when someone's having a shot and the defender puts their arms behind their back, that's understandable. But when Romero's literally going down to his knees, his arms are going to go up. His arms can't go down with him. It's just, there's no logic to it. The Romero one against Man United was a penalty, in my opinion, because that was a completely different situation. It was what I said a minute ago. Someone's had a shot, and Romero's he's almost gone to block it, but with his arms out wide. Whereas this one, it's point blank range. There's nothing you can do about it. And like I say, if it was the other way around, I would have screamed for a penalty, but I would have understood if it wasn't given. But I mean, obviously, he stepped up and dispatched the penalty with confidence. So. What can we do? This will be the debate now forever, and every week there's a different debate on VAR. So
yeah, definitely. And Barney, who is a neutral fan, said agreed.
We discussed this earlier.
A handball, it's a natural movement. The rule
That's
is
what
that.
I'm saying.
It's mental, isn't it? I don't know if you boys. Sorry, going on tangent here. I don't know if you've watched this BBC series. Called, I can't remember what it's called now. It's on BBC and it's about these ex-footballers that were at academies and then got released and then they're in this training camp to see if they can get like new pro contracts. Like,
yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's quite good. Where there was so you'll know what I'm talking about. So there was a tackle in one of the episodes where the lad has just absolutely smashed somebody, but he's got the ball and he still gets a yellow card for winning the ball because he's got in too hard.
Yeah.
Like, Harry, no offense, might be a bit too young, to remember the Premier League, because I was even a bit young, to be fair. With tackles like that every day of the week, your Roy Keanes, your Patrick Vieira.
I was going to say, Roy Keane, he got away with it every week.
And, the ball was won. I'll always remember the red card Jan Vertonghen got for winning the ball against Arsenal. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Like 3 or 4 years ago.
I remember that.
And he wins the ball, and because he goes through the player afterwards, it just...
It's a perfect tackle.
It's nonsense, isn't it? And do you know what? Fair play. Johnny has said, in my opinion, it's only a handball if the hand stops it from going in the net. But I'm not sure if it does. White scoffed a bit, or it was deflected and it had no power behind it, and Udogie was there. Even as an Arsenal fan, you aren't sure if it's a penalty. But look, these things happen, and you've got to make do with what you've got. And, within a blink of an eye, James Maddison wins the ball off Jorginho and slots it through to Heung-min Son, who looks like he's on the form of his life at the moment, and slots it past David Raya, and we're 2-2 before they've even had time to think. Like, Wynnie, just quickly on that, like, what kind of attitude does that show about this team that we go 2-1 down after, getting it back to 1-1, then we get a penalty against us, then we just go straight back at the other end and score?
Yeah, it's just resilience. It's as simple as that. We've got a team full of young, resilient players that have confidence in themselves and confidence as a group. And like you say, I think that's kind of rubbing off on a couple of the fans, because, like I say, myself, even at 1-0 down, I was confident we'd get back in it. At 2-1 down, I was confident we'd get back in it. I didn't think we'd get back in it so soon. But I mean, thankfully, the press was what won it back. Maddison absolutely harassed Jorginho, who was probably a little bit rusty from just coming on, and thankfully it worked in our favour. But like I say, it was a very nice car. I mean, I'm surprised. I think it was weird. The finish was. I don't know what you guys thought. I thought the finish was weird because Son kind of took it with the opposite foot that I thought he would, and into the opposite corner. Like, it made no sense. I thought he was going to open up.
The left corner from where he stood, rather than his left foot into that corner.
That's what I'm saying. It was so weird, but look, he put it away as confidently as he is at the minute. So it's all good.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, Harry. I do apologise, mate. I've completely left you out of all conversations.
Hey, you're right.
You've heard the last few points. Give us your take on it.
No, you're completely fine. Penalty decision. It's harsh. I can accept it and move on, but it's the fact that I'm convinced that Maddison, he's over the top, the way he goes down, but so is every other player. If you look at it, I can't remember the Arsenal defender. It might be I'm not going to say it is because I can't remember, but he has two hands on Maddison and he stops him from going anywhere. And ultimately, Maddison has a defensive duty to do. We don't know that. That could have been one of the reasons it led to Romero having to step out. It could have been, for all we know. It's very close to him. It's just the inconsistency for me. I just don't get VAR. Yes, I'm too young to, like you say, remember the days when football was played, if you like, in a different way. But even over my lifetime, the decisions have got worse. I think the invention of VAR was good, but it's been used appallingly. I think it should be scrapped with immediate effect because it's been used in the wrong way. It's not overturning clear and obvious decisions, which it was brought in for. It's different decisions every week. I can accept referees' mistakes because they're human. It happens. But the whole point to bring VAR in is to reduce these mistakes. But I think there was some kind of statistic. I promise you the mistakes with VAR is about 3-4 times higher because they ruin the momentum and flow of the game because they look and look and look. It shouldn't take any more than maximum 20, 25 if you're pushing it seconds to look at a decision. Because if it's clear and obvious, you should make your mind up by looking at it maximum 3 times. If you have to look at it, it's not clear and obvious. Play on. Give to the advantage whoever the team. So, yeah, it annoys me, to be fair, because it's just pathetic. And I think it ruins the game. It ruins the fun. VAR has kind of sucked the life out of football for a long time now, and I think it's ruining the game. So firstly, I would scrap that. With the winner, I love the resilience that this team has, the never give up attitude. Lots of rival fans will say, what's the difference? Because you came back under Conte. We never deserved to come back under Conte. We were lucky, whereas we deserved. And like Wynnie says, we go into every game, especially today, knowing we can win. We can win. And we play really well. And the manner we took the goal, yeah, I didn't expect Son to put it in that corner, and it kind of looked like for a minute he was going to scuff it, but he scored, so I don't mind. Jorginho, what's he doing? They've just scored. You've got to get it forward. He takes far too many touches. He's like he's forgotten what type of game it is. So it's pathetic. So really happy with the equaliser, should I say. It was well taken. But in terms of VAR, I think it should be scrapped.
Yeah, fair enough. I think you're not the only one. Big shout out to Holly Agambar. Another birthday message, actually. It's actually her birthday this weekend. So big happy birthday to Holly. And if you don't know who she is, go check out her channel, which you can find by clicking on her name. Anyway, let's move on, because Harry, I don't think that that VAR unfortunately is going to be scrapped anytime soon. We're going to
put up restrictions, shouldn't there? There should be like maximum 30-second rule to look at something.
30-second rule, yeah. It's like dropping food on the floor.
Keep the game moving. So, Dick.
I think you're right. Like, if you listen to some of the clips where they show the conversations that are being had, the amount that how much they're shouting over the top of one another, and it's never that. And you hit the nail on the head, Harry, when you said clear and obvious error. Like, that is the terminology that they use. Like, you're right. If it isn't clear and obvious, which a clear and obvious error should be able to be realized within seconds.
Yeah.
If it's not clear and obvious, then it's not an error, because that's what they're going with. So I think you're 100% right on that. I know that Barney also agrees with you on that. what's Holly saying? She said, can we shout out how insane Vicario was? Bloody love him. Do you know what? It's interesting, Harry, wasn't it? Because we saw a little bit of Vicario versus Raya. I felt like Raya was more commanding in his box with her crosses and things like that. I felt like, I was impressed actually with his positioning for crosses and free kicks. But I felt Vicario, even on that penalty, he was still trying the little mind games. He was still trying different bits, and he's younger and a lot cheaper. So what do you make of Vicario today?
Listen, credit where credit's due to Daniel Levy, whoever made the decision to...
Don't say that too loudly.
No, but I think fans need to accept it, because you have a lot of people who dismissed Vicario and they don't like it. It's not because of Vicario, it's to do with Daniel Levy and the fact people think it's a cheap option. He was labelled as that, and I'll forever hold it against the people who named him as that. I didn't name him as a cheap. No, but okay. Let me explain, because it's very, very
rare. We bought Vicario. He was a cheap option once again.
No. Come back. It's very, very simple. If you have a little bit of common sense, you could understand. I said that I really want David Raya. I don't see the point in signing Vicario because I don't know him. Right? I said I don't know him. And I've always said that I'm willing to see. I said that I think we signed the wrong keeper. Never ever did I use the words cheap option, because I do not believe in that. And I'm glad we got Vicario. I actually think he could be the better goalkeeper, and he saved some money. But he was dismissed and labelled as a cheap option. Yeah, I wanted David Raya. I still think he is a top keeper, and I still think he is worth 40 million. But Vicario looks immense business, and he's pulled off some incredible saves. Still, for me, isn't given the credit where credit is due. So yeah, fantastic signing, immense goalkeeper, as Holly says. Still underappreciated. I don't think he makes some saves that he's not entitled to make. There's one today, Jesus or someone, where it bounced up in front of him. Yes, Lloris had good reactions, but I think that goes in last season. He does really well to keep that out, to get anything on it, let him keep it out. So I think he's been a top goalkeeper. I might not have been for it, but he was wrong to be dismissed as a cheap option. But we won't talk about your opinions on Romero, on Richarlison, Luke, don't worry.
I think we need to check that, because I'm pretty sure cheap option may have been mentioned. I'd
love you to find it, because I'm absolutely convinced that I never use the word. If I do, I hold my hands up. I do whatever top comment says. I'm convinced that
we'll see, mate. We'll see. I'll do some digging.
Go on, go for it. I'd love to prove it wrong.
Then I might do. But quick one on that, Wynnie, because after we've gone 2-2 and all the rest of it, like, it kind of felt like we were the dominant team. But then 100%. For some reason, like, it felt like they were lacking, and they made odd, in my opinion, substitutions to try and add on fresh legs, and they looked like that. In my opinion, looked like Arteta was scratching his head to try and figure out how to do it. Meanwhile, he's running around like a headless chicken all game, and Big Ange just stood there with his hands in his pockets. Like,
that's what we want.
Whatever happens, mate. Whatever happens. But then he made a kind of weird decision. I suppose the Maddison one is not too weird, because he did look like he could have been injured, and so it's probably precaution. But he took off Heung-min Son on a hat-trick when it looked like he, towards the end of the game, especially with tired legs, he may have been able to get us a winner. What do you think that was? Do you think it's, do you know what? We're away at the Emirates. We haven't won here in, twice in the Premier League era, basically.
Yeah.
We'll get away with a point. What do you think that decision was, to take him off and bring on Richarlison?
If I'm honest, mate, I don't really know the answer to the question, but I think it was definitely strange. However, we're talking about a striker who cost £60 million. So if we can't bring him in to try and win a game, then what's the point? Do you know what I mean? Because it's not. In my opinion, it wasn't a negative change. It's not as if we brought Son off and brought Højbjerg on and tried to pack out the midfield and settle. It was a like for like. It was a striker for a striker. So it was definitely strange. But like I say, this is our striker who H loves. A massive advocate for, aren't you, H? So
it's great.
It's 25 goals a season, Richarlison.
And that's what I mean. And let's be honest, he had a chance in, what was it, 90 plus 9? He had a shot that could have gone into the bottom corner, and we could be having a completely different conversation.
Full power on that, I think that goes in.
No, well, that's what I'm saying. So we could be sitting here going, do you know what? What a substitution that was, bringing him on. He's just scored the winner. So it's fine margins. It was definitely strange.
Yeah, exactly.
But like I say, he's £60 million. He was brought in to be our leading striker at some point. So we've got to bring him on in these situations. And obviously he needs confidence. And I think he's slowly getting that confidence back. He's had some issues outside of football and stuff, so why not bring him on? But I mean, Sonny was definitely on form today, so I probably wouldn't have brought Son off as soon. But bringing Richarlison on wasn't a bad idea.
No. And look, a 2-2 draw. You take that. It's just you're looking back and you're thinking, do you know what? Could we have won that game? But it's a long season, right? And to get a point there and remain unbeaten is absolutely brilliant. Just a quick one, lads. I want to go through who you think was your man of the match. You can choose an Arsenal player if you want. But I will start first. I'll start first. I'm going to say Yves Bissouma was my man of the match today. I felt like, again, him or Sarr, I felt like both of them were really, really good today. I think that their demanding, high energy, their presence, their ability to win the ball back. You could give it to James Maddison with 2 assists, obviously. But I feel like he is just growing and growing and growing, and watching him kind of make these marauding runs through the middle is brilliant. But Wynnie, who do you reckon?
I think I probably, potentially would have picked Bissouma, but just to be a little bit different and give a different opinion, I would chuck Van der Ven in there. So I know we said he was a bit shaky a couple, but I thought it was immense today. Everything about that guy is insane for his age. If we just talk about some of his attributes, he's a great passer of the ball for a centre back. 1v1, he doesn't dive in. He's not rash. He will hold up any player and he will win the ball. His speed, literally, is dominant in the air, which is something we've missed for so long. If you look at, there was one situation where there was a corner whipped into the front post. I love that. There was a corner whipped into the front post, and he, leapt up and flicked it away from everyone towards the back post and got out for another corner. I think I'm gonna choose Van der Ven, because I think, and he's a player who, if he lives up to his potential, he's got such a high ceiling. We could be looking at a potential Tottenham captain in the future, maybe. Yeah,
there was a comment earlier actually saying that he looked a bit wooden at times, which I do sometimes think on the ball. I think sometimes he could do.
I think that's maybe just his stature, to be honest.
I think it's maybe because he's got absolutely fucking ginormous legs, but
he's fucking massive.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite hard to make a run with the ball, but I still think he's brilliant. And as you say, he's so young. He's only going to get better. But H, who are you going for, man of the match?
Yeah, sorry to be boring, but I had already planned, I promise. Wynnie is absolutely spot on with Mickey Van der Ven. I thought he was just that little bit better than everyone else today. I think he can absolutely control. I'm not even going to answer that. Absolutely controlled the back line. And I think that I don't like to jump to conclusions, but I would already consider him as our number one centre back. I think he's one of the reasons Romero has been so good this season is he's had Van der Ven next to him. Van der Ven's kind of, I think he's led the way. I think today Romero looked like a rash head for the majority, not all, majority for me anyway. The game, I think that's what led to one of those moments. He didn't look, especially early on. Van der Ven looked settled from minute one of the only players to be settled. He settled in really well to his new role, because we know that he's not only Van der Ven's come into this country brand new to him, he's come into a new league. The Premier League, we all know, is more physical, more stronger than pretty much every other league out there, and he's adapted to that really well. Lots of top players they say at least a season, maybe even 18 months to adapt. So the fact that he adapted, for me anyway, in his first game against Brentford was incredible. And he had apparently two training sessions before that. So he's been excellent. If Richarlison had scored, of course I would have gone for Richarlison. I've got so much in the week because I put Richarlison in our combined Arsenal and Tottenham combined 11, but I do not rate. Sorry, Johnny, I do not rate Jesus or Nketiah. And I wanted to get Son in the team, but Van der Ven was excellent today. Close behind him for me is Bissouma. Like you say, he's very close behind. And then you got the Maddisons and the Sons, who again were excellent. And then you got, for me, the only
Porro
two
was decent. Pedro Porro again.
Yeah, I thought Porro was decent. The only ones that for me struggled today I don't want to say I don't have an agenda against Kulusevski, but I do see where people come from, what he offers at such a young age. I think we got him for a bargain for a player like him and his market, what he can offer. I just find him a bit predictable. So I thought he struggled a little bit maybe today. But this is not his fault because he lacks the pace and he kept the ball well, to be fair. But Adoki struggled in the first half. Romero most of the time. But yeah, generally individuals in the team were very good. And the likes of Basuma, Van der Ven were just that little bit better.
Let's not forget, by the way, Van der Ven was another cheap option. Let's throw that in there.
Yeah.
I know, exactly. Why didn't we go for the Tapsoba and instead of the naturally left-footed, faster?
I never wanted Tapsoba. Don't bring me.
No. I wasn't saying you. Then,
don't worry, we're not going for you, Harry.
Thank you.
That was just the general consensus at the time. Was everyone wanted Tapsoba and no one wanted Van der Ven, whereas I wanted Van der Ven.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
That kind of wraps us up for the score. No. I've just let everybody off to what's happening next. The Arsenal game. We'll jump into what is usually my favourite part of the show, but it's now actually Winnie's favourite part of the show, is the score predictions. So for those of you that weren't tuned in last week, I'll run through the score predictions that we went through. So Dave went for a 2-2 draw. Harry went for a 1-1 draw. Winnie went for a 2-2 draw. Callum went for a 2-1 Arsenal win. The Judas that is Callum, he deserves to not get a point. And I went for a 3-2 Spurs win. So that means that Harry gets 1 point. Winnie and Dave both get 3 points in the score predictor table, which means we have a new leader, people. And Winnie is on top with 9 points. I have 8. Dave has 6. Callum has 3. And Harry also has 3. Harry is slowly catching up with his 1 point today, and Callum deserves to be dead bottom for picking Arsenal, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I will let you onto a secret.
Winnie
when we were chatting this week, he was going to go for an Arsenal win, but changed his mind. So
why are you throwing me under the bus like that? Why are you doing it?
Oh, Winnie, you can win every game.
Is there any proof? Is there any proof? I don't remember saying it.
Text message proof. If anyone wants some of my WhatsApps, then
nobody wants to see your WhatsApp, Luke.
And Johnny said that he went for a 5-3. He's still on 4 points. So no, good show all round for that, because we have a new leader at the top of that score predictor board. And just keep everybody updated. I will jump on to the Fantasy Premier League table.
It's not updated. It's not fair.
No, exactly. Last week it had updated in time. This week it hasn't.
Cheated.
Yeah. Probably because of Newcastle scoring 8 goals, spoiler alert, against Sheffield United. Probably didn't help because they've got a lot of maths to work out, I suppose, at FPL HQ. But just so that everybody's aware, as of last night, this was the league table. So Juan Sancho is at the top with 349, Brainy Paul 335, and then with the hosts, it's Dave in third with 327, Winnie in fourth 322. Me in 6th with 313. Harry Scarf in 9th with 28298. And then painful. Callum still at the bottom, but only 25 points behind.
Bottom of the FPL and score predictor table. And he's not even here this week. Oh, dear.
He is on 2-2-3. But he did miss the first week. So we will let him off.
Now.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Now let's get into Liverpool or Spurs versus Liverpool next weekend. We don't do it in half measures, do we, people? We're going straight back off our North London derby, straight into a game against Liverpool, which we're playing at home to, and which I'm actually more optimistic. And people would say, Luke, how can you be more optimistic? You went for a 3-2 Spurs win today. Oh, I can be, baby. I can be a lot more optimistic. But you don't want to hear about me. Winnie, give me your thoughts on next weekend's game against Liverpool. What are you expecting from this game?
I really don't like playing Liverpool. We just don't seem to have a fantastic record against them. We usually get terrorised by Salah or someone of the like. I mean, Firmino used to love a goal, so he ain't going to be there. So that's a good, hopefully.
Be Darwin Núñez this time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They've replaced with that. Nunes is coming into a bit of form. He's very similar to Richarlison. I think he was a bit low on confidence, and he scored a couple of weeks ago. Scored today as well. So I just don't like playing Liverpool because we don't have a great record against them. However, this is a new Tottenham. At home, I said it would be great if this season we could go unbeaten at home, and that's a tough ask. I understand that, but I don't see why we can't do it. But they will bring what they usually bring. They will press, our back line very, very high and very, very fast. And it just depends if we can counter that press. And if Basuma drops in and plays the way he has been, I don't see why we can't do it. So I'll give my prediction eventually, obviously, when we get round to it, maybe. But I'm expecting a tough game. But with this new Tottenham, who says we can't turn them over?
Yeah, no, 100%. We need to start believing that actually, history and games in the past. This is no Conte. This is no Jose Mourinho. Remember when we battered Liverpool at home 4-0? I think it was Wembley. There are times when we have really taken it to this Jurgen Klopp Liverpool side. And, why can we not do that at home? Still unbeaten in the league.
Yeah.
And yes, we will get to our score predictions. But it's going to be interesting. Again, another side that will try and press us. And Son, I expect to play through the middle again. I expect him to score again. Bar any kind of like real medical emergency, like what happened to Ivan Perisic, with the likes of Maddison, Basuma, Sarr, and the rest of them, bar any kind of disaster like that, then we have as much chance as we've ever had to be able to win this game. Harry, what's your thoughts on Liverpool? Obviously, we can talk every week about inverted fullbacks and how pacey wingers can get the better of them and so on. But I expected that from Arsenal today, and we didn't see that at all. Really, I didn't really ever see Saka or in the second half, Jesus when he was on the left, running at those fullbacks and creating space in behind because we pushed too far up. So I actually think that's kind of a bit of a myth. But what are your thoughts on the Liverpool game?
Yeah, it'd be a really tough game. Along with today, it's a test of how far we've come in that short period of time that Ange has been at the wheel, and how far we've got to go before we are serious. Because I don't think there's any problem with me. What I'm going to say is eventually, further down the line in the project with Ange, we want to, even maybe now, close the gap to the best teams in this country and eventually compete with them and maybe even overtake them. So it'll be a real test where we are. We played a Man United side that aren't themselves yet, and definitely weren't when we played them. We played an Arsenal side who were only 1 point worse off than they were last season and had arguably a tougher run. And the real test for me, Liverpool at home, where like when he says we've struggled both home and away, not really struggled, but it's never been easy for us, that game in recent years, because Liverpool been good. Last season they weren't as good, so they've definitely gone away and improved, so it'd be really tough for us. So it'd be real kind of a reality check, if you like, I suppose, in a nice way of where we are. Try not to be too negative here, but it'll kind of show us whereabouts we are. Because I think Liverpool are serious this year. Not necessarily going to win the title, but I think they'll be in and around that top 2 or 3 for the majority of the season. I think they're finished there as well. So I'm trying not to give my score prediction here, but I think it'd be tough. Like when he says, but we're playing some good stuff at the moment. I think we're really going to miss Perisic though. I think that's a big miss. I think what he offers. I think if you're going to get the best out of the likes of Richarlison, Perisic is the man to do that, but it is what it is. We can't use it as excuses. So we've got to play what's in front of us, beat what's in front of us. That home record, Wynnie, you say there's no reason why we can't do that. So if we come out of the Liverpool game unbeaten again, I'm very, very happy.
Yeah, do you know what? As bad as it sounds every week saying this, but if we get in, draws and snatch wins at home against top sides, that sits us in a brilliant position come the latter part of the season. As I said to everybody last week, like even if we lost today, it's not the end of the world. If we lose next week, it's not the end of the world. At some point, this team will lose. but it's about, kind of keeping that home record, for Big Ange. That would be wonderful. But also, it's about making your home a fortress as well, and saying, do you know what? You come and play us. Because the amount of Arsenal fans today who would have, come out and said, we're battering Spurs this week. I can see us scoring 3 or 4. I had a friend of mine who lives in Dubai. We were talking this morning, and I said to him, what do you think is going to happen? I said, I reckon it might be 3-2, whatever. And he was like, I can't see that happening. I said, if we score early, we'll, steamroller you. And I was like, do you know what? It might happen. Like, I'm not saying it won't. But that kind of attitude, and then to be humbled like that at home, is massive. And so, so to kind of compete against these big teams, top 6 teams, and come out, on top, especially at home, I think we've got a real chance. I think if they start playing with, with Trent Alexander-Arnold at the back, with one of their other defenders like Matip or somebody like that, or Kanate, I think we can get the better of them, or even Van Dijk. Van Dijk's not the same as he used to be. I think there are areas of the pitch that they are struggling in. This new midfield that they've got, I don't think is all that. I think that, our midfield and their midfield, there's not much in it. And I really think that we've got a chance. But, we might as well go through it now. We've teased it enough. So let's go for our score prediction. So I am going to go with Harry first.
Thank you. Wow. What I'm about to say is not something I thought I'd be saying a few months ago. I'm generally, if people don't know already, I tend to be quite negative, right? I said at the start of the season, I think we're finishing about 9th. That bearing in mind what we've just gone through that season, that is definitely changed. I'm loving not only Big Ange but the club and how we're doing at the moment. I think we're winning. I think we're winning. Liverpool just gained that little bit of momentum. I think their fans are getting carried away. I've scrolled through TikTok and X today, and there's already talks that are in the title fight with City. So they need a beating, in a nice way. So I do think we'll do that. So I'm going to go with 3-1's a bit too cocky. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Spurs win. I think we're going to terrorise Liverpool.
Okay. That makes me change my score prediction, because my score prediction I just wrote down was 2-1 Spurs.
You can change it.
You don't have to change it.
Huh?
You don't have to change it.
No, I don't. I don't have to change it. But
I don't mind you going with my prediction. You tend to be right.
If I get 3 points, Harry also gets 3 points.
Yeah, but Harry's not an issue for you at the minute. Look how far down the table he is.
I'm catching him up. Don't worry.
Small fry compared to us at the top, anyway. You know what? Okay, fair enough. I'll stick with it. I didn't stick with it last week at the 2-2 draw, and I should have done.
Hello.
So I am going to stick with it 2-1 Spurs. I think you're right, Harry. I think, we could concede early. I think that we may concede a goal.
I think we'll go 1-0 down again.
But, I think that seeing how we still maintain that stamina and that play and that possession at 90-plus minutes and have chances 99 minutes again today, I think shows real bollocks and real steel. And I think that, I think that we can beat them. Just so you know, I have got the score predictions from both Dave and Callum, who both are in today.
Goodness sake.
They both bottled it and both gone for a 2-2 draw. But at least
we drew 2-2 today. Goodness
2-2 draw. At least he's not. Callum's not going to be a Jewish again this week. But Wynnie, leader of the score predictions.
Yeah.
People said last week whatever Luke says will happen. It's not anymore, is it? It's whatever Wynnie says will happen.
It's whatever Wynnie says will happen. Look, I've got 2 scores in my head. I'll be honest. Obviously, I can't go with 2 scores. If I was to go with the score that I want to remain top of the table, I would go 2-1 Liverpool. However, because I am a new optimistic Tottenham fan, and you know what, I'm top of the table. I've been there. You know what, if someone overtakes me now, I'll take it. So I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw.
1-1.
Still playing it safe.
Okay. So to wrap up on that, we have 1-1 from Wynnie, 2-2 from Callum, 2-2 from Dave, 2-1 Spurs from Harry, and 2-1 Spurs from Luke, aka me. Interesting, Harry. Very interesting, Harry. That do you know what? I like you a lot, Harry.
How you dare start?
I want to give a quick, huh?
Don't you dare start.
No. I just started by I like you a lot, Harry. I like you a lot. And you know what? What you're doing with Spurs and with Barney and raising awareness of autism and neurodiversity, if I said that correctly, and everything that goes along with it. You've been to Fulham now. You're now going to Spurs. And you're filming lots of content and doing great stuff. So big up to you. Since that's happened, though,
there we go.
You've become a little bit nicer to Spurs. I've noticed a little bit nicer to Spurs, and I like it. I like that, Harry. I like that. Positive. I want to say it's down to me, but it's not.
No, he's blooming not. No, it's not right. What it's down to is that, I just think that fans need calling out for when they label things that I just don't want to be. How do I word this? I don't want to be associated or be like people who dismiss individuals before even doing the basic research to look up their name, to watch clips of them. And that's happened with Vicario, Van der Ven. It's happened in endless transfer windows. We're playing some good stuff at the moment. There's no reason to be negative about it. Do I think that a bubble will burst at some point? No. Believe it or not, no, I do not. I think that we're playing really good stuff under Ange. This is here to stay for now. So for someone who said, who's been saying for weeks, the bubble's going to burst, it's going to be Luton, or it's going to be a big game. It hasn't happened yet, and I like the confidence. But unlike someone named Dave, I can accept when I've got something wrong. He's completely changed, and he's convinced that he hasn't. So I can admit I've been wrong about far too many things. Being wrong about Big Ange, he's proved me wrong. I love him. I'm glad he's here. I want him to commit even more long term. I think it's just been phenomenal what he's done in such a short period of time. He turned over the fans, turned over the players. As long may that continue. I've seen resilience, togetherness that I've never seen with watching Spurs before. Yes, we came back against Conte, but there wasn't that team spirit there. If it was, it didn't last. Didn't last into the next game. So it's great to see. The real test is, will Ange learn from his only mistake, in my opinion, is so far in the Spurs job, and that is by making 9 changes in the Carabao Cup. Will he do that or will he not in the FA Cup? For me, that defines whether he's someone who accepts mistakes or not. But no, he's going really well at the moment. I've dropped the negativity for now, but we're the Spurs fans, always in the back of their mind. But no, we're playing some great stuff, to be fair.
Yeah, to be fair play to you, Harry. It's difficult to admit, that you're not always right, and we can't always be right. Some of us, but anyway,
some of us.
Yeah, quick shout out to Johnny. I still say Spurs haven't played anybody yet. Arsenal was mid-table team today.
Okay,
that's why.
Johnny, we played Man United. So okay, we haven't played anyone. So Johnny doesn't even rate his own team. Okay, interesting. We played Man United and Arsenal. The only big team Arsenal played is us. Da-da. We played 2 of the top 4/6. They played 1, Johnny.
They both finished in the top 4 last season. So
yeah. But I want to ask you both, obviously, because I know wrapping up soon. I know we said like getting the top 4 will be amazing, get back into Europe. Right now, after this draw and the way we're playing, being unbeaten, what can we actually achieve this season? What's the maximum for you that we can go?
Do you know what? I am a positive guy, but I'm also a realist, right? I still think that we have a long way to go. I still think that 5th would be a pretty impressive season. Let's look at some of these other managers. We can use Mikel Arteta or Jurgen Klopp, for that matter, as quite obvious and quite easy answers to that. When these transitions of these clubs happened, you've seen positions that they've finished in. We're talking the 8th, the 7th, the 9th. We're dropping out of Europe. Those things. Spurs to get a Champions League spot, which 5th hopefully would do this season, would be absolutely massive under Ange Postecoglou. And I feel like the investment would come there, and we've seen whatever you think of it, we've seen the talks with Daniel Levy, Ange Postecoglou, and so on. At these press conferences that they've this kind of talks they've done and that kind of thing together. Looks like they're really on the same page, and that to me, kind of speaks wonders. But I think 5th. How about you, Wynnie?
Yeah, I think if I'm very similar to you, as you know. I'm also a realist, and I look at Man City better than us. I think Liverpool marginally, but I think they are probably better than us.
Yeah.
I may have put Arsenal up there, but after today, I don't think there's much difference between us and them. So
Newcastle look better. Brighton look good.
Possibly we could creep fourth. Obviously, on my original decision was fifth prior to the season starting. So maybe if I'm being a little bit optimistic, I could maybe think we could stretch to fourth. But again, I'm a realist, and I think there are still better teams than us because we are so early into our new transition as a team. So I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. But in years to come, why not up there even further?
Yeah.
Can I just put something out there? I love to put bold statements, and they don't often come true. But hopefully this is different. We will be playing Champions League football next season, one way or another. I think that we can. Yes, I'd be happy. I said that any improvement on last season in terms of performances and results and sort of league positions, we've already done all three in this short period of time. Of course, assuming we're going to keep it up. But I think, like you say, Wynnie, I can't see us finishing above City or Liverpool. But I think we can finish third. I think we'd be like a battle for Champions League between Newcastle, Tottenham. Man United will probably come into the equation later. It's going to be very, very tough. I'll be very happy if we get fifth, but I do think we will be playing Champions League football next season, and I don't think Arsenal will. There you go.
Wow. Very, very interesting. Anyway, on that kind of bombshell, we might as well wrap up. But I do want to shout out to everybody in the chat. Johnny, Barney, Jay, Geordie's just joined us, Holly, Dave.
Johnny's had another shocker.
I'm scrolling through the chat. I can't name you all, but I just want to, shout out to everybody that comes in, week out, and gives us support. Keep the DMs coming, keep the chat coming on Twitter and all the rest of it. Make sure you are subscribing to this channel. So Geordie, I've just seen you joined in. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Make sure you're hitting that like button as well. Let's get the views as high as we can. More importantly, let's get us to 1,000 subscribers so we can start getting more and more content.
How close are we?
150, 60-ish off.
Okay, so by Christmas, latest.
Yeah. Hopefully, we'll see. Look, it will come when it comes, but it will come with the more subs, the more clicks, the more views, the more watches. Everything like that really does help us. So I just want to thank everybody so far that's done.
Yeah. Johnny, I'm happy to do a bet, by the way. We are finishing above you, mate. We've not got it easy. We're a team who's just started a project. Put it out there if you like. I think we're going to finish about 5th or 6th. I think we can finish 3rd. So, like it or not, that's what I think. Deal with it.
Amazing. Anyway, Wynnie, looking fabulous in that half and half top. How can everyone find you, buddy?
Wynnie1991 on Twitter. And obviously the admin for the thingy for the Park Lane Twitter. So, keep your eyes peeled for my usual Monday morning controversial tweet.
Some things are right, but Wynnie does sometimes come up with some crap. It depends what mood he's in.
Whoa. Do you know what? That's not very nice.
It's a bold statement coming from Harry Scarf. Let's be honest.
Oi, what are you saying? No, that's not fair. Wonder why the content.
Richarlison, 20-25 goals. Golden Boot winner, I think, was also mentioned.
I would love to know where you got 25 from. I think it's always been maybe in all competitions, something like that. But I think he's still scoring 10, 15 league goals. I stand by that.
Golden Boot winner was once announced.
No, I said that he'll be in the top 5 or 10. It'd be contention. That's a bit over the top, isn't it? But no, it'd be in the top 10.
Anyway. Harry, how can everyone find you and what's happening on your show this week?
Yeah, thank you very much. Let's get to 1K. Support each other in the Spurs community, I suppose, because there's a lot more than 1,000 Spurs fans out there. And what's more, what do you like about 5 people talking about Tottenham and your opinion? You getting involved as well. So make it part of your routine, and don't forget to subscribe, because there's more than 1K of you who do listen. So there you go. If you want to follow me there, Harry Scarf 22. New approach recently. I don't care what people think anymore. If you disagree with my opinion, so what? It doesn't matter. I'm not changing my opinion. Trying to think what's got coming up. Oh yeah, tomorrow is my show. I'm not hosting it. My show will go on though. Second time I'm on another show Apologies, can't remember the name. And also tomorrow morning, I find out whether I've made the top 10 for either best young content creator or let me get this right, equality, diversity and inclusion individual award. Find out if I made place in the top 10. If so, I'll be attending an evening with some excellent people on the 16th of November at Anfield. So I can't wait if I made it or not, because it's fantastic people who go every year. So yeah, thank you very much for having me on once again, Luke.
Anytime, mate, anytime. And just want to say, what's the point, FC, if you're going to act like a
back
knobhead?
again. He's like a knobhead. He's getting on my show. He's getting a permanent time out on Monday. Don't worry.
Simple as that. Yeah, as everyone said, keep supporting us, keep showing your love. Really do appreciate every single one of you. We've just hit 1,000 listens on all podcast platforms, which may not seem a lot to some of you, but it's absolutely amazing for us. So if you're listening on any podcast platform, we thank you very, very much. And we will see you next week at 7 p.m. right here on YouTube with Park Lane Podcast. Until next time, a big come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Oh!